Ladies and gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters in this journey of life, I want you to take a moment, close your eyes if you must, and just breathe. Feel the weight on your shoulders, the ache in your bones, the tiredness in your soul, and know this: God knows, God knows, God knows, God knows that you are tired. Not just physically tired, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually drained. Tired of giving your all and still feeling like it's not enough. Tired of being strong for everyone else while no one sees you breaking in silence. Sometimes the deepest struggles are the ones no one ever sees. You wake up, put on a smile, go through your routine and carry responsibilities like nothing's wrong. You do what needs to be done, handle the job, care for your family, encourage your friends, and yet, inside there's a quiet war going on, a heaviness that never quite lifts, a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. You feel unseen, like your effort doesn't count, like no one really knows what it's costing you just to keep going. But let me tell you something that might just breathe life back into your spirit. God sees. He sees the tears you don't cry in front of others. He hears the prayers you whisper when no one's around. He knows the moments when you almost gave up but didn't. The times you showed up anyway, wounded, weary, and unsure. Nothing you've gone through is lost on him. Not a single sigh, not a single sleepless night, not a single moment where you were on the verge of breaking but still chose to hold on. There's something incredibly powerful in knowing that your pain is not invisible to heaven. You may feel unnoticed by the world, but you are never forgotten by God. His eyes are not limited to what people can see. Where others may look at your smile and think you're fine, God looks at your heart and sees everything. When no one applauds the things you sacrifice, He does. When you give your best and still feel like it's not enough, He says, I see you, and it is enough. When you feel like you're drowning in expectations, emotions, or responsibilities, He doesn't just stand back and observe. He draws near. The Bible says He is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's not just poetic language. That's the reality of a God who walks with you, even through the dark valleys. You might think, but I should be stronger by now. I should have more faith. I shouldn't be this tired. But God doesn't scold you for being tired. He doesn't shame you for being human. He embraces you in it. He understands more than you know. Jesus Himself knew what it was to feel worn, to weep, to need solitude, to be overwhelmed. He's not just watching from afar. He has walked the path of exhaustion, sorrow, and silence. That means when you feel unseen, you're actually being understood at the deepest level. And it's in those moments, those quiet, private battles, that some of the most profound intimacy with God is born. When there are no words left, when your prayers turn into silent cries, when you feel like you're running on empty, that's often where you meet God most honestly. That's when His voice becomes clearer. Not because the storm is gone, but because you're no longer pretending you can do it all on your own. You don't have to perform for Him. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to be strong. You just have to be real. Let Him see what's already in plain view: your struggle, your fatigue, your questions. He's not waiting for you to pull it together. He's waiting for you to come as you are. So if you've been feeling like no one notices the load you carry, the late nights, the constant stress, the emotional weight, hear this: God notices. He knows how much you've been holding in. He sees the pressure that's been building, and He cares more than you could ever imagine. You may be tired, yes, but you're not unseen. And in God's eyes, you are not defined by your exhaustion. You are honored for your perseverance. You are loved beyond measure. And every step you take, no matter how slow or heavy, is seen by the One who walks beside you with strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We live in a world that often glorifies hustle, strength, and non-stop movement. You're expected to have it all together, to show up with a smile, to keep pushing forward, no matter how drained you feel inside. And somewhere along the way, this idea sneaks in that if you're tired, if you're worn out, if you're running on empty, it must mean you're weak, that something's wrong with you for feeling overwhelmed. But that idea couldn't be further from the truth. Being tired is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you've been showing up, that you've been giving, that you've been fighting battles, some of them silently, that you've been loving deeply, working hard, carrying responsibilities, and navigating challenges that others may never even know about. Tiredness is the mark of a soul that has been engaged in life. It means you care. It means means you've invested energy, heart, and faith into something or someone. It means you've been doing the work, whether that's holding your family together, staying committed to your goals, keeping your faith alive through hard seasons, or simply trying to make it through each day with integrity. If anything, your tiredness is a badge of strength, not weakness, because strength isn't about how much noise you make or how put together you look on the outside. Real strength is found in the quiet courage to keep going when it's hard. Real strength shows up in tears that fall behind closed doors and in the silent decision each morning to try again. Real strength is being honest with God and saying, I don't have it all today, but I'm still here. I'm still trusting you. The world may not applaud that kind of strength, but heaven does. And God, he sees every ounce of it. He never measures you by your level of energy or productivity. He looks at the heart. He sees your motives, your persistence, your faith, and he doesn't shame you for being weary. He welcomes you in that place. He says, come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Let that sink in for a moment. God doesn't say, come to me when you've fixed it all. He doesn't say, come to me when you feel strong again. He says, come to me when you're tired, when you're drained, when you've got nothing left to give. That's the kind of father he is. You see, being tired is often a turning point. It's the place where you stop relying on your own strength and lean into his. It's the space where pride fades and honesty grows, where you stop pretending and start receiving. God is not disappointed in your weariness. He's ready to meet you in it. He's not asking you to be superhuman. He's inviting you to be real. Some of the greatest heroes in Scripture were deeply tired. Moses begged for help because the burden was too much. Elijah, after doing incredible miracles, collapsed under a tree and asked God to take his life because he was so overwhelmed. Even Jesus, in his humanity, withdrew from the crowds to rest and pray. If these great people of faith experienced tiredness, why would we think we're failing when we feel the same? Your tiredness is not failure. It's not a flaw. It's a signal, a whisper from your soul that it's time to pause, to breathe, to lean into grace. And grace doesn't run out when your energy does. In fact, the Bible tells us that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. That means when you're the most tired, you're also the most eligible to experience his strength. So let go of the guilt that tells you you're not enough because you're tired. Let go of the shame that tries to make you feel small for needing rest. You are human. You are beautifully limited. And in those limits, God does his best work. He restores, renews, and revives. Don't measure your worth by how much you can handle. Measure it by the truth that you are loved, chosen, and carried. Whether you're full of energy or flat on your face, being tired is just a chapter in the journey. It's not the end of your story, and it certainly doesn't define who you are. You're still strong. You're still worthy. You're still doing better than you think. There's a kind of rest this world doesn't offer, a deep soul-level rest that goes beyond sleep, beyond a weekend off, beyond turning your phone on silent for a few hours. It's the kind of rest that touches the parts of you that are anxious, overwhelmed, weary, or quietly breaking inside. And this rest, this peace that doesn't make sense in the middle of chaos, is exactly what God offers you. When life gets heavy, when responsibilities stack up, when the noise outside and inside grows louder by the day, God whispers something simple, something powerful. Come to me. That invitation isn't just for the It's not for the people who have it all together. It's for the worn out, the worried, the barely holding it together. So it's for you, and it's for right now. God doesn't wait until you're rested to invite you in. He doesn't say, get it together, then we'll talk. He says, come to me all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Those words are both comfort and commitment. He knows what this world takes out of you. He knows how much you're carrying, often in silence. He knows how long you've been trying to be strong, and he offers a different way, a better way. Because real rest isn't just about stopping. It's about surrender. It's about laying down the weight you've been carrying, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. It's about breathing again, not because everything is fixed, but because you've let go of the need to control it. God's rest is not the same as escape. It's not ignoring the pain or pretending everything's fine. It's a rest that strengthens, a rest that heals. It's being still and knowing that he is God, that you don't have to be everything for everyone, that you don't have to carry what only he is meant to carry. You are not the glue holding the universe together. That's his job.
And he's really good at it.
Sometimes we fight rest because we feel guilty. There's always more to do, people to help, deadlines to meet. But even God, the creator of all things, rested, not because he was tired, but to set an example, to show us the rhythm of life he designed. Work and rest, give and receive, pour out and be poured into. If you never pause, if you never exhale, if you never come back to the feet of Jesus, eventually you'll run dry. And God never intended for you to live on empty. You were made to operate out of connection with him. Rest isn't a break from your spiritual life. It is your spiritual life. It's in rest that God reminds you who you are. It's in rest that you remember he is God and you are not. Rest in him looks different for everyone. Sometimes it's silence in the early morning before the world wakes up. Sometimes it's worship in the car when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes it's a walk where you pour your heart out to him like a best friend. And sometimes it's simply closing your eyes and saying, God, I don't know what to do.
I'm tired.
Be my strength. And he is. There's nothing too messy, too heavy, too complicated to bring to God. He can handle your honesty. He can handle your exhaustion. He doesn't need polished prayers. He just wants your presence. He wants your heart, and in return he gives you rest. A quiet, steady peace that guards you when life tries to unravel you. You don't have to earn this rest. You just have to receive it. Let go of the idea that your worth is based on how productive you are. Let go of the pressure to be everything. Let go of the shame that says you should be stronger. And just come. Come tired. Come broken. Come confused. Come in whatever condition you're in. He won't turn you away. He won't scold you for being tired. He'll simply hold you, speak to you, fill you again. Because this is who he is. A God of rest. A God of peace. A God who invites you, not to perform, but to abide. Not to hustle harder, but to rest deeper. And in that rest, you will find everything your soul has been craving. There are moments in life when it feels like you're giving everything you have, and seeing very little in return. You show up, day after day, doing your best, being kind when it's hard, staying faithful when no one sees, trying to keep hope alive when the circumstances around you don't change. And after a while, that kind of living can wear you down. It can make you wonder if it's even worth it. You start asking questions in the quiet. Does this even matter? Is anyone noticing? Am I getting anywhere at all? But here's the truth that you need to hold on to. Your effort is not wasted. Not a single moment of love, kindness, sacrifice, or persistence is ever forgotten by God. Even when the results aren't immediate. Even when no one claps for you. Even when it feels like nothing's moving forward. He sees it all. He honors it all. And in his perfect timing, he brings a harvest from every seed you've sown. There's a beautiful promise in Galatians 6:9 that says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That verse doesn't ignore the reality that you will get tired. It doesn't pretend like perseverance is easy. In fact, it acknowledges that weariness will come, but it also reminds you that if you keep going, if you keep trusting, keep believing, keep doing the right thing, there will be a reward. God is not unjust. He does not overlook what you've poured out, even if the world does. He keeps track of your faithfulness, not in an egoistic or punishing way, but with the love of a father who sees the full picture of your life. He sees when you choose integrity over convenience. He sees when you love someone who doesn't love you back. He sees when you show up to work, to church, to your responsibilities, even when your heart is heavy. He sees the tears you wipe away before anyone else notices them. And the beautiful thing is, with God, nothing is ever truly lost. He takes even the smallest acts of faith and multiplies them in ways you may never expect. The prayers you prayed years ago that seemed to go unanswered, they're not forgotten. The work you did that no one recognized, it mattered more than you know. The moments you resisted giving up when it would have been easier to quit, those are the moments that are building your future. Sometimes God allows seasons of hiddenness, times when you're growing beneath the surface, like a seed in soil. No one sees it. You don't even feel the growth, but something is happening. And just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's insignificant. In fact, that quiet, unseen effort is often the most powerful. It's in those seasons that your character is being formed. Your roots are going deeper, and your faith is becoming unshakable. So don't give up just because it's hard. Don't walk away just because you're not seeing the outcome yet. Keep showing up. Keep doing the right thing. Keep trusting that your consistency matters, even if it feels like no one else sees it. Because God sees, and God rewards. You may never get a trophy for being the one who stayed calm under pressure. You may never get a spotlight for being the one who carried others while carrying your own pain. But heaven celebrates those things. God cherishes them. In a world that praises noise and speed, God values endurance and quiet strength. So when you feel like you're planting seeds into the ground, keep planting. When you're loving someone who's hard to love, keep loving. When you're working with all your heart, but no one notices, keep working. Because what you do in faith is never wasted. You're not failing just because you're not seeing instant results. Growth takes time. Healing takes time. Breakthrough takes time. But every act of obedience, every small choice to trust, every moment you choose to keep going, it all adds up. And one day you'll look back and realize that God was building something all along. Something beautiful. Something lasting. Your effort is not in vain. Your faith is not in vain. You are seen, valued, and rewarded. Maybe not by the world, but by the one who matters most. There are seasons in life where everything feels like it slows down, or stops entirely. The momentum you once had disappears. The answers you prayed for seem delayed. The doors you've been knocking on stay shut. And all you're left with is the stillness, the pause, the space in between loss and what's supposed to come next. And in that place, it's so easy to get discouraged. You start questioning everything. Your timing, your calling, your worth, even your faith. You wonder, what am I doing wrong? Why does it feel like nothing is moving? Has God forgotten me? But here's something that might shift the way you see this season. There is purpose in the pause. It's not wasted time. It's not a divine oversight. It's not punishment. It's preparation. It's protection.
It's a process. Sometimes the pause is exactly where God does his most important work. We're trained to believe that purpose is only found in progress, in constant movement, productivity, and visible results. But God's rhythm is different. He is not bound by the world's pace. He is not rushed. He is not interested in shortcuts. He values depth over speed. And sometimes, in order to grow deeper, you have to be still. In the pause, God refines us. He reveals things we may not have noticed when life was moving fast. He peels back layers, shows us what we've been carrying, teaches us to release control, and invites us to trust him in new ways. The pause becomes a mirror, not to shame us, but to shape us. It's in the pause that character is built, that faith is tested and strengthened, that we learn to depend on God, not for the next big moment, but for daily bread. It's in the quiet, seemingly uneventful days that God often whispers the loudest, because in the stillness, distractions fade, and we begin to hear his voice with clarity. Sometimes the pause is about rest, not just physical rest, but rest for the soul. God knows when you're depleted, when you've been pouring out more than you've been receiving, when you've been carrying burdens too heavy to hold. He'll use the pause to reset your pace, restore your strength, and remind you that you are never meant to live on empty. You're not a machine. You're his child, and he deeply cares about the condition of your heart. Other times, the pause is about positioning. You may feel like nothing is happening, but behind the scenes, God is orchestrating things you can't see yet. Delays are often divine setups. What looks like a no or not yet might be making room for something better than you imagine. And if God is making you wait, it's not because he's holding something back. It's because he's aligning things perfectly. Timing matters to him, and he sees the whole picture when we only see a piece. You might not understand the pause while you're in it. It may feel uncomfortable, even painful, but one day, you'll look back and see the fruit of that season. You'll realize that what looked like stillness was actually sacred ground, that in the hidden moments, God was growing you, healing you, protecting you from something you didn't even know was ahead. Don't despise the pause. Don't rush through it. Don't let it convince you that you're behind, forgotten, or disqualified. If God has you in a season of waiting, there is purpose in it. Lean into it. Ask him what he wants to show you, teach you, heal in you. Be present, even when it feels unproductive. Some of the most powerful transformations happened in the quiet. And remember, Jesus himself embraced the pause. He often withdrew from the crowds, to rest, to pray, to be alone with the Father. His ministry didn't start until he was 30, after decades of quiet preparation. Even after his resurrection, he didn't immediately return to heaven. He stayed, appeared to his followers, and ministered to them in a slower, more intimate way. So if you're in a pause, you're not alone. You're in good company. And more importantly, you're still right where God wants you to be. Breathe, trust, rest, listen,
Wait, this season has purpose, and when the time is right, when God has finished what he's doing in the hidden place, the next step will come, the doors will open, the movement will return, and you walk into it, not from a place of exhaustion, but from a place of strength, peace, and deep, unshakable trust. There's a certain kind of tired that goes beyond the physical. It sits deep in the heart, a kind of weariness that can't always be explained, but is definitely felt. You wake up tired, go to bed tired, and somewhere in between, you wonder if anyone sees just how much you're carrying. You smile on the outside, but inside, you're holding on by a thread. And the loneliest part of that kind of exhaustion is the belief that you're going through it alone. But here's what you need to know, and never forget, you're not alone in this. Not for a moment, not even in the silence, not even in the darkest part of the night when your thoughts run wild, and your heart feels heavy. Even in the space where no one else understands what you're feeling, God does. He sees it all. He's closer than your next breath, and he's not watching from a distance. He's right there with you. In it, Scripture is filled with reminders that we were never meant to carry life on our own. God says, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. That's not just a poetic promise. That's a reality you can cling to when everything else feels uncertain. He doesn't walk away when you're struggling. He doesn't get tired of your prayers. He doesn't grow distant when your faith feels weak. In fact, those are the very agents when he leans in the closest, and even though your circumstances might not immediately change, his presence changes you. It brings comfort in the chaos, peace in the storm, and strength when you've got nothing left. He walks with you through the valley, not just to get you to the other side, but to show you that even the lowest places can be filled with his love. God is not the only one who walks with you. He also surrounds you with people, even if you can't always see them right away. You're not the only one who feels like this. You're not the only one each questioned, cried, or felt like giving up. So many others are walking through their own silent battles, trying to make it through the day, with a little hope and a lot of faith. One of the enemy's greatest tactics is isolation. If he can make you believe you're alone, he can make you believe that you're beyond help, that your struggle is unique, that no one could possibly understand. But that is a lie. And the truth is that there is strength in vulnerability. Healing begins when we will stop hiding and start reaching out to God and to others. You were never meant to do life alone. From the very beginning, God created us for connection, for community, for support, for shared burdens, and mutual encouragement. You don't have to have it all together to be loved. You don't have to wear a mask to be accepted. You can show up tired, messy, questioning, and still be worthy of support and compassion. Sometimes, the people around you won't know exactly what to say, but you don't need someone with perfect words. You just need someone who listens, someone who prays, and God will send those people. Keep your heart open. Sometimes they come quietly. Sometimes they come in unexpected forms, but they come, and when they do, let them in. Let them carry some of the weight. Let them speak life when your own voice is too tired. Let them remind you of who you are when you forget. You don't have to fight every battle alone. That's not strength, that's survival. And you were made for more than just surviving. You were made to be held, to be known, to be loved, right in the middle of your weariness. So if today feels heavy, if the road ahead seems long, take comfort in this. You are not walking it by yourself. God is with you. He's not pacing heaven, trying to figure out your life. He's already gone ahead of you, and he's standing beside you. And he's also placed people in your life who care, who want to support you, even if they don't have all the answers. You're not too far gone. You're not too, and you're definitely not alone. You are seen, you are supported, and you are surrounded, even when it doesn't feel like. Keep going. You're stronger than you know, and you're never ever walking this path alone. There's a place in every life where the weight becomes too much, where the strength you thought he simply isn't enough. It's in these moments. It's a profound weakness that you feel. You're faced with your limits. Your doubts are loud, and you wonder,
How did I get here?
how do I keep going? When it happens, yes, love, it's natural to feel. It's natural to want to give up when you've poured out everything you have, and yet you still feel empty. But here's the truth. You need to embrace deeply in those moments. God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. His power is not diminished when you're exhausted. In fact, it shines brightest when you've reached the end of your own strength. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, Paul writes about his own struggle and weakness, saying, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." This verse holds a profound promise, that when you're weak, God's power is more evident. When you're broken, His grace becomes more abundant. In your lowest moments, God does His best work. Our world often tells us that strength is about self-reliance. It teaches us that success and victory come from our ability to handle everything on our own. But God's kingdom operates differently. His strength isn't about what you can do on your own, it's about what He can do through you when you're willing to admit your need for Him. True strength doesn't come from being invulnerable or self-sufficient. It comes from leaning into God when you feel like you can't take another step. Your weaknesses, your struggles, your tiredness, they don't disqualify you from God's love or His power. They make you a vessel through which His grace can flow. And what's beautiful is that God doesn't expect you to be perfect. He doesn't expect you to have it all figured out, or to be strong in all the ways the world expects. He simply asks you to trust Him in the middle of your weakness. He asks you to let go of the idea that you have to do it all on your own, and to embrace the truth that He is with you and for you every step of the way. There's a certain freedom that comes with surrendering your own strength. You don't have to fight against the weakness. You don't have to pretend to have it all together. When you're able to acknowledge that you're weak, you make room for God's power to enter in. And this is where the miracle happens, not in your ability to hold everything together, but in your willingness to let God carry what you can't. God's strength doesn't just carry you through the tough times. It transforms you in the process. In your moments of weakness, you learn to rely on Him in ways you never could when you were going it alone. His strength teaches you patience, endurance, and trust. It teaches you that you don't need to control everything, because He's already in control. It teaches you that your value isn't based on how much you can accomplish, but on how deeply you know and rest in Him. The Apostle Paul, who knew all about suffering and weakness, understood this truth deeply. He said, "For when I am weak, then I am strong." This isn't a paradox. It's a powerful truth of the Christian walk. When you're weak, you're open, you're teachable, you're aware of your need for God. And it's in that place of humility that God's power can rest upon you in the most profound way. You don't have to be strong in every moment. You simply have to be willing to trust in the strength of the one who never tires, who never fails, and who is always with you. So if you're in a season of weakness right now, don't be discouraged. Don't be ashamed of your tiredness. Don't feel like you're not enough, because God doesn't expect you to be enough. He is. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. When you feel like you're at the end of your rope, He is right there, ready to carry you through. He will provide the strength you need to keep going, even when you feel like you have nothing left. Allow yourself, His strength, allow yourself to rely on Him fully. You don't have to be. God's strength is more than enough for you.